Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. I'm getting ready to cut the fabric for the volcano quilt. So if you want to see how I use this ruler to make pieces for this quilt, please stay tuned. If you've been following my channel, you know that I'm getting ready for my middle son, my second son's graduation quilt. I have pulled an inspiration fabric, or inspiration photograph. I found it online, of a volcano with the little lava flowing down. And I want to recreate that for him in fabric. I've already drawn out my design. I figured out how much fabric I needed for each part, and then I've purchased the fabric here. All of this is, not this one, but everything else is going to be a part of his quilt. And now it's time for me to cut some pieces to create it. I'm excited. I have about 2 months or so to hopefully get the quilt made, the top made, and get everything quilted and bound so it'll be ready to give to him before graduation. I want to use the rhombus templates that I got from Missouri Star. I got the entire set of 3, and so I want to show you which one of these I've chosen to use for his quilt, and then show you how to cut the fabrics using these rulers. So what I'm going to do is first turn the camera around, because I want to use my ruler to show you how I'm making a decision about these rulers, and then we'll see what it's like to cut some fabric using them. I wanted to get up close and personal with my drawing for the quilt before I go into detail about these rulers. I've drawn this on graph paper. This is just a graph composition book that that one of my sons was using for school, and I pulled it, and I've been drawing some quilt patterns in it. So like these are from Polly and Esther and the Bargellos. So I'm using this to kind of graph it out. And each well, I guess what I want to say first is that even though this picture, it reads as like an art quilt, and there are lots of different ways that I could put it together, but I still want to be pretty traditional about it. And what I mean by that is I'm still going to put it together in blocks. It's not going to be just individual pixels. I'm actually going to make some blocks to put this together. And so as I use the rulers, I think it's going to help to kind of grid this the way it's going to be for the blocks. Right now, each square is 2 inches, but I'm going to block it out in just a little bit. But I want to go over the process with you about how I determine what the blocks are going to be. The first thing that I've thought about is which one of these rulers I'm going to use. And these are, they're labeled pretty well, I think, and you can slide them along the ruler to see how much space they're gonna take up. Okay, so I'm gonna show you kind of how I'm looking at this. All right, so each one of these, this is they just call this one the rhombus template, and it's really big. This is the largest one. And in order to use this one, you would have to start with a 5-inch strip. Okay, so this would be one side of the tumbling block, and then you would flip it around to get the other side. Okay, and then the other parts would come like this, something like that, Okay, now if I was going to use this big block, you would see that, number one, it takes a 5-inch strip. So this is 5 inches here, and then plus the other side, this is a 10-inch block by if I use the 6-inch mark, by 11.5. So it will be a pretty big block, 10 by 11.5. And if I was going to grid this on my chart here, I'm just going to mark it out, and then I'll show you up close what it'll look like. I'm just going to lightly pin it, so it will be 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 10 this way, and then 11 up top. Okay, so let me see if you can see what that would look like. Okay, so that's about how big that block would be. And I sort of wish it could be like that, because I would finish a block this size. This whole quilt would be whipped up in just a little bit. However, if we kept that going over to this way, I'm not sure exactly how much detail we would be able to get. And so this size would be inappropriate. This particular template is too big. Now, the one that I've used before, this is the mini rhombus template. Let me turn it this way so you can see it. Wait, let's put something behind it. See that? It says mini rhombus template. I don't know how to, there it is maybe. Okay, and this one, it's a 2.5-inch strip. Okay, and so it would be, this would be the first measurement. So this is about 2.5, so it would be about 2 inches finished. So it would be 4 inches, well, 4.5 inches, because it would be like that, by 6. Okay, so let me mark that out here. 4 across and 6 here. All right, let me bring it in so you can see that. You can see how small that is. And I think that could be really nice. And I think that even over here, it could make a, you could get a pretty good amount of detail in there. However, these 2.5-inch strips with this mini rhombus, I just feel like it would take forever. And so I'm just not going to use it. All right, so the last one is they just call this one rhombus. I haven't taken the paper off the back yet, but this is the one I'm going to use. I'll show you the measurements. And there are pros and cons to this. The pro is that I think I could get some decent blocks and do a good amount of contrast. I'll draw a couple in and see how it works first. But this one is about 3.5 across, so probably about 3 inches. So this one's going to be 6 inches by about 8 inches. And so I'm confident that it's going to make a decent size block, and that I'll be able to get some contrast in here. So let's draw that in, 6 by 8. Right here. Okay, so it's the middle one, and I feel pretty confident about it. Like I said, I do have to draw it in and just make sure that I'll be able to get the contrast I need. And it might not be perfect, but I think it'll be close enough. So that's what we're going to start with. Now, the negative about this template is that the strips have to be 3 5/8. So I'm a little bit concerned. If you look here on the ruler, let's see, it's not quite between, let me see if I can zoom in. Okay, is that too much? Just a little bit out. Okay, so here is 3 5/8. And I was hoping that maybe I could get away with a 3.5, but when you look on the Missouri Star website, this says that you can use a 5-inch square, but they have to be cut into 3 5/8 strips, 5/8 inches. So this is what we're going to go with. Let's check it out and see what it looks like on the fabric. What I decided to do before I start preparing the fabric is to go ahead and block this out so that I can see exactly how many blocks I would need for the quilt. I have, since my blocks are rectangular, 6 inches by 8 inches, I cut off the parts around the edge that were beyond those marks so that I could make an exact number of blocks, and I didn't have to really worry about if they were, like if I would have to make it like 2 extra blocks for these little sections out here. I think that the quilt is still going to be a decent size. If I get concerned about it at the end, I know I can just add a border. Okay, now if I wasn't nervous before about starting this quilt, I am a little bit nervous now because I can see that there are some parts that I might not be able to get exact. I'm going to try not to stress about that because I'm going to lay the whole thing out before I stitch it. It's going to be fine. I'm confident it's going to be fine, especially if I just keep saying that, then it should be fine. What I will do, another thing that I decided to do is instead of putting the quilt together this way, I decided to try it. I'm going to try putting it together this way and see if I can get all the pieces that I need and get the nuances that I would like in the quilt. So now I'm going to go ahead and go through and see how many blocks I need to make of each color. And what I'm going to choose to do is if that color appears in the block, in any block, I'm just going to make a whole block that includes that color. That way it'll give me some variety when it comes to the individual blocks, and it'll give me some room to play. So if I need to swap out a dark blue for a medium blue, I can do that as well. So I'll give you an example of that right now. So if we start with the medium, well, no, I don't want to start with medium orange. Let's start with this medium dark blue because they're all right here together. Okay, so I'm going to list here medium dark blue. You might not be able to see that. I wrote it down here at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to count each block that has the medium dark blue in it. Keep in mind that I've already altered this just a little bit because all of this, the part that's colored here, it's actually going to move to the center. So I'm not going to count these sections here because they're already accounted for in dark orange, medium orange, and dark yellow. Okay, so I'm only going to do these blocks here. So I'm just counting the block. If it has the color in it, it counts. So 1, 2, a little bit there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a little bit there, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. There's a little bit right there. So 22 blocks, which translates to, it'll be 44 of each side, 44 sides, and also 44 tops of the blocks. So the sides are the entire rhombus, the tops are the little triangles. Let me show you that here. Let me scoot up a little bit so you can see it. Okay. And I'm going to do that for every single color before I even bother pressing any of the fabric. Hopefully it won't be too intimidating for me to do it this way. I just need to get as organized as I can. That way when I go downstairs, I can just start laying things out. So let's do this, and then hopefully we'll be ready to start cutting some fabric. I've been cutting some of my fabrics already to practice with this ruler before I did it on camera. Here I have some of the dark orange here and the dark blue. And I wanted to just come on and show you what the pieces look like when they're in the right place. So here are a couple of tumbling blocks that I made out of the dark blue. Now you might be concerned because I'm cutting so many blocks, but I might still even need more, because if this is 2 blocks in between here, both below and above and on either side, there's going to be another another block. And I want to show you that right quick. So right in here, well, no, I'll do it up at the top, I think, to see what you can see on the camera. Yeah, I'll do it above. All right, so for example, up here, there's going to be another tumbling block. Okay, so in between each of the rows that I have on my diagram, there's actually going to be another row. So I think that having these extra blocks are going to come in handy. Also, that's going to help with gathering our details that we're going to need to add that variety and to add those extra colors in the quilt. So let's get ready to cut some fabric now. I have the camera here. It is going to be upside down to you, but if you're right-handed, then hopefully it'll look right since I'm left-handed. I have my ruler here. I'm just using an OmniGrid 6x24 inch ruler, and I have my fat quarters long ways. I put a piece of painter's tape here on the back of my ruler at the 3 5/8 mark, and I actually have it just outside of the 3 5/8. So if you can see that, that's where I have my mark. So the pieces are going to be, these strips are going to be a little bit long. For my first strip, I'm just going to line up one of the lines on the ruler. If you get concerned, I'm going as close as I can to the edge just to cut off that little edge part. So I'm going to overcut the first piece and then go back and finish it. But what I like about this is that the painter's tape, since it's on the bottom side, it will just butt up right against the fabric to make it easier to get your measurement. So I really don't have to think about it. After this first piece, I don't have to think too much about cutting how to cut the fabric. I did press this. I know it doesn't really look like it, but I promise I did. I tried to press some of the creases out. It'll still be fine, I'm sure. Okay, I'm going to use a weight at one end to hopefully hold that ruler down. Okay, and then I'm going to hold it firmly here at the bottom and give it a nice cut. All right, I'm going to move the first piece out of the way just so I can, because that's overcut, so I'll go back and cut that. For the next piece, I'm just going to slide my ruler over, and it's going to catch right when it gets to the fabric. Here we go, and it's pretty firm there. And then place this down. Okay. And another cut. These are my light yellows. So I have to double check what I need for those. I'll finish cutting this one, and I'm going to cut the whole thing into 3 5/8 inch strips, but I'm not going to use it all. Not right now anyway. So I'm probably only going to cut enough for the pieces that I need, and I'm going to leave the rest because just in case I need to fill in a hole once it gets, as I keep working, then that'll be fine. All right, so it looks like I have 2 more cuts to make. And again, just pressing this right up against the fabric. That tape is a really nice boundary, or it's a nice marker. And it's nice not to have to really think about that, because 3 5/8 will be quite a challenge to line up every single time, because it's a lot of brain power that you need to do that. Okay. And then this one. So I have 4 light yellow strips, which are going to give me 4 colors to work with when I'm creating my blocks, which is great. Just button it up again to make sure it's stable. Okay, and weight, and a nice cut. Uh-oh, that one kind of moved on me. So just line it back up and continue cutting. And you want to make sure that you're cutting the fabric amounts that you're comfortable with. If you don't want to cut 4, then that's fine, but make sure that it's something that you're comfortable cutting. Now I'm going to take this piece and get my ruler. Let me make sure you can see it on camera. Yeah, Okay, I'm just going to take my ruler, and it doesn't matter if you do it with the letters face down. I've done it both ways, and it's the same diamond, thankfully. I was concerned, but this time I happen to have it right side up, so I'm reading the words right side up. My strip is a little bit too wide, but I don't think that's going to matter. And all I did was I lined up one line at the top and one line at the bottom of my fabric. And I'm just going to cut on these two sides. Okay, and then for this one, I would just flip it around and cut. Since it's upside down, it looks to you the right-handed way. But if you're left-handed, I'm actually coming from the right side. I hope you can tell that. All right, and these are my diamonds. And I made sure to cut these little tips off. These help when you line the pieces up. Okay, and then I'm just going to go down the rest of the strip. Okay, and then I think I can get 4 out of this. I won't cut the little tips off for the sake of time on the video, and I want to show you how to cut the triangles for the top of the diamonds. So I will go back and do this part. I'll cut the little tips off camera. Okay. So just keep those to the side. Now when I get to the end of this block, there's not enough for a full diamond. Let me show you that. But I can cut a triangle. The template is marked. It says line up edge of fabric strip here to cut the triangles. And so you can see, let me see. I hope you can see the line is a little bit below halfway, so you can see that. And then I'm just going to take this, line it up on that line where it says to line it up. Again, it's a little bit big. The strip is. I don't think it's going to matter. Okay. All right. And then for here, again, cut the little tips off. Okay. I did cut 4 layers of fabric, and I would like for my tops to match, so I will just make sure that when I get to the next strip, that I cut another set of these to match them. Okay, and cutting with the template is as simple as that. I'm going to finish these up, cutting the tips off, and then I'll show you what we got. I have my diamonds all cut correctly with the little tips cut off, and so these diamonds are ready to go. According to my pattern, I only need 8, but I made 16 of these. I only have 4 of these, so I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and just cut a whole other strip. Like, I want to at least get enough of the tops to do 8 of these. We'll see however many I get out of one of the strips. I think that'll be fine. I just wanted to come on and show you how to use this this ruler or this template. I hope that you got some cool tips and tricks along the way to help with your quilt design, or to help with just seeing things, especially on a tumbling block quilt. I am still not really sure what's going to happen as I get ready to put this thing together. I still have to finish cutting strips and cutting the diamonds and the triangles out, but then I'll be ready to put it together. If you have questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Please thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Once you subscribe, hit that notification bell so that YouTube can let you know when I release a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!